Tens of thousands of striking workers at South Africa's top 3 platinum producers have agreed to take part in government-brokered talks aimed at ending the dispute and limiting economic damage. The Association of Mine Workers and Construction Union, who are leading the strike that began on Thursday, say it will be part of the negotiations Friday. The union went on a legal strike demanding that entry-level wages be more than doubled to $1,150 a month and better working conditions. AMCU President Joseph Matunja has said that the strike is still going on, as there has been no agreement or settlement yet. The talks are expected to be led by Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe. Now, Angelo Coppola is following the story for us and now joins us live from Johannesburg. Angelo, what's the latest on the talks between the strikers and mine owners, and is the Deputy President present?
Well, we've been trying to get to the bottom of this one because we know that Mildred Oliphant, the Labour Minister, called for this government-mediated talks between the strikers and the miners. So we know that the discussions were meant to start at 9 o'clock this morning. It's been a media blackout. We haven't had any updates, and we're not sure whether the Deputy President is in fact in the room or not. You will recall, though, that if you go back a couple of months, that Motlanthe was responsible for mediating and brokering that peace deal between the strikers and the miners. So a bit of a hospital pass there because AMCU never signed that agreement. So at the moment, we have nothing to report other than the meeting was scheduled to start at 9 o'clock and we're waiting for an update from their officers. Fahmida?
All right, Angelo, now there have been reports of AMCU members preventing non-striking miners from getting to work, and we've also seen police reports talking about strikers stoning cars and barricading roads. So are we looking at another potentially violent strike?
The short answer to that question is yes. But bear in mind, we did a bit of a circular route around the different mines. We visited 4 mines yesterday, and many of the miners live in either hostels where they're mixed between AMCU and NUM colleagues, and in the shanty towns, it's even more tight, where people are living very close to each other. So the potential for violence and the potential for intimidation is huge. We stopped at Thembelani mine yesterday, and there's a bridge connecting the shanty town to the actual mine entrance, and it's not a difficult position to put 10 people there to search the miners to check if they're AMCU members or not. And that's what happened this morning. That's the one piece of intimidation that we have heard of so far. So the recipe is there for violence to break out at the drop of a hat. And the temperatures in the area are around about 35 degrees, so it's already hot, and the workers are getting worked up as we speak. Fahmida?
All right, Angelo, thanks very much for your time there. Angelo Coppola live in Johannesburg as we wait for an outcome from talks between government mine bosses and striking miners. Now, after years of headlines about Africa's poverty, the emerging middle class across the continent's economy is now getting attention as a driver of growth, democracy, and an expanding pool of consumers for market-hungry retailers. Consumer demand is the engine of Africa's economic and investment surge, and analysts see that middle class and its rising disposable income as the fuel for that boom. But don't take my word for it. Here's a budding Ivorian entrepreneur talking about what it means to be part of the middle class in the West African nation.
Living her dream of being a small business owner, Christelle Trousseau has started a successful wedding planning company in Côte d'Ivoire's capital of Abidjan. The 31-year-old has cashed in on the improved economic situation in the country. With more people making big purchases, wedding planning, which was once seen as just for the elite, has become an affordable luxury for many Ivorians.
My clients are from all walks of life. You know, you can plan a beautiful wedding regardless of the person's financial means. It's all about making a compromise with one's budget and what the person wants for their wedding ceremony.
Budgets big and small are not a problem for Trousseau, who's a prime example of Africa's emerging middle class. Analysts see the middle class buyers with a swelling disposable income as fueling the boom on the continent, from South Africa to Nigeria to Kenya. Consumer demand is seen as a driving force of Africa's economic investment surge. In a 2012 report, the World Bank said consumer spending accounted for more than 60% of sub-Saharan Africa's buoyant economic growth, which is forecasted to accelerate to more than 5% over the next 3 years. This is far outpacing the global average.
ou encore le Nigeria, cette classe moyenne...
There has been an explosion of the middle class, going from the classic image of a civil servant working in the public sector, which was seen as stable, and now evolved into a middle class that has grown out of the private and informal sector. So yes, the middle class does exist and comes from different sectors in Ivory Coast.
On peut dire qu'elle est peut-être importante par rapport à certains pays de la sous-région.
But Côte d'Ivoire has not always been a land of opportunity. Despite the country's strong infrastructure and industrial sector, political crisis and civil war between 2000 and 2004 and the renewed violence in 2011 all severely and negatively hurt the country's economic growth. Favorable economic times has opened up Ivorians to new financial opportunities, allowing them to grow the country's middle class, a class that for Africa is difficult to quantify, but that is on the rise. G2 Abraham, CCTV.
Let's now turn to how markets that we track for you traded earlier on Friday. The Nigerian All-Share Index was trading 1.18% stronger, while the JSE All-Share in South Africa dipped 0.35%, and Nairobi's 20-share index was posted 0.55% weaker. And the Egyptian Stock Exchange, of course, closed on Friday for prayers.